Well, good morning, First Baptist Church, and anybody else that's listening out there. Here I am again, and it's Saturday. Apparently, some of you forgot that it was Saturday because I've noticed from some of your Facebook posts that you've been up really early today. Well, I hope that you get some rest today, and I hope that you have some fun today. I think that would be very therapeutic for all of us if we were able to do that today. I've been thinking about this coronavirus, and you know what? I decided it would be terrible if there was no purpose behind this. If this was just a random act of nature. Wouldn't that be terrible if that's all it was? All this suffering, all this loss, all this grief. Wouldn't that be terrible? But you know what? I know that there is a purpose behind it. Because as I've told you before, God is sovereign and nothing that touch us unless it passes through his hand first. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. What we're actually going to profit from all of this. That is, if we let God do his work in our life. And I hope that you let him do his work in your life. Because you know what? I know our freedoms have been taken away. We can't really supposed to be leaving our homes unnecessarily. Can't go to work, or maybe we've already lost our job. Things like that. But the fact of the matter is, the scripture tells us that there can be some profit from this. So, you know what? I don't think at all that there's no purpose behind this. Now, that doesn't mean I like it. That doesn't mean it's comfortable. But then again, some things are not that way. So let's just talk about something for a moment. So as many of you know, when I worked for Child Protective Services, I trained foster parents. And one of the things that I trained them in was how to discipline children. Now, don't confuse the word discipline with punishment, please, because they're not the same thing. The word discipline comes from a Latin word means discere, which means to learn. So, you know what? The kids that are in the system, if that's what you call it, that are in the care of the Department of Family and Protective Services have been abused, they've been neglected physically, emotionally, psychologically, but they've also been neglected in the sense that they were never parented. So they don't know how to act, you know? They don't know how to regulate their emotions a lot of times. They just don't know how to, you know, I don't know how you would phrase it. They just don't know how to be kids, how to learn. The object of foster care is to help those kids not just keep them safe, but help them to grow up into good, functioning adults. And that's what God's doing in our life right now. There's a purpose behind all of this. God is disciplining us. He is teaching us, and we're supposed to learn from all of this. So I hope that you will. I've already learned some things. There's a lot of things that I thought I needed that I don't. I got to be honest with you. There's been a lot taken out of my life, like it's been taken out of your life, and I'm not less happy. As a matter of fact, I think I'm more happy because I've realized I don't need all that stuff. Brenda will tell you that it's pretty hard for me to sit still. I live a pretty hectic pace. As a matter of fact, if I don't have something to do, I get bored, and if I get bored, well, I tend to get ugly. Now, I don't want to be ugly. But you know what I'm learning? I'm learning to savor the sweet, quiet moments, if you understand what I mean. I really don't need all that activity. Now, yeah, I still like to do things. I like to be creative. I like to learn things more than anything else. So I really want to learn something from this whole situation, and I hope that you do too. I hope that you do. So let's just see what the scripture says about discipline, or as the Bible is going to call it here, chastening. So this is Hebrews chapter number 12, and I'm going to begin in verse number 1, where it says, "Therefore we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is sat down at the right hand of the throne of God." It says, "For consider him who endured such a hostility from sinners against himself, lest you become weary and discouraged in your souls." I hope you're not becoming weary and discouraged. It says here, "You have not yet resisted the bloodshed, striving against sin. And you have forgotten the exhortation which speaks to you as to sons or daughters, which says, My son, do not despise the chastening of the Lord, nor to be discouraged when you are rebuked by him. For whom the Lord loves, he chastens, and scourges every son whom he receives." So there's our instruction, some of our instruction from the writer of Hebrews, that we are not to be discouraged when God disciplines us, when he teaches us, because he's got a great purpose behind it. Verse number 7 says, if you endure chastening, God deals with you as with sons. For what son is there whom a father does not chasten? Well, that's true. What good father or mother does not discipline or chasten their children? None, not good ones, because they understand children need to be taught. They need to learn. One of the things that took place in the teaching that I did with foster parents was to teach them to use different techniques. And one of those was natural consequences and logical consequences to the children's behavior. Well, let me give you an example. If they had a kid that was really mean to other children, sooner or later, they would be without friends. Did you know that? That's a natural consequence to their, and perhaps they would learn from that. And perhaps there would be a teachable moment that they would say, why don't I have any friends? And then you can teach them why. And then there's the logical consequences. The logical consequences. For instance, if a child has a brand new bicycle and you tell them not to leave it outside, and they do, or they don't take care of it, then you remove it for a while. You ground them from it. That's a logical consequence. One relates to the other. So you and I better be paying close attention to what God is doing with us right now, because he might be taking that path, the logical consequence path. And this is what you've been doing, and so this is what I'm going to do. And they're related. So notice what's been taken away from us. Notice what we don't have the opportunity to do. Notice what's been added to you too, though. Notice all those things, because this is just not a negative kind of situation. God is doing positive things too. You may have noticed that our church is doing a lot of different creative ministry, a lot of creative ministry. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. That's not coming from me. Not really. All I'm doing is I'll support any of that. That's for sure. But God is just releasing the gifts that are already inside this church. And I can't begin to tell you how good that feels to know that, to see that. Bible come to life. Honestly, that's what it is. So we're learning a lot of different things. So let's just continue with the story and this account, and let's see what the scripture says here. Remember, logical consequences. Maybe what's going on is just a logical consequence of our idolatry or our sin or our neglect or whatever else might be in our lives. A true Christian wants to learn. Did you know that? And although it's not fun, that's for sure, we don't want to become discouraged by it, because God has a good end in it. Verse 8 says, but if you are without chastening, of which all have become partakers, then you are illegitimate and not sons. Furthermore, we have had human fathers who corrected us, and we paid them respect. Shall we not much more readily be in subjection to the Father's spirits and live? For they indeed for a few days chastened us as it seemed best to them, but he, that is God, for our profit, that we may be partakers of his holiness. Hear that? That's the purpose, that we might be partakers of his holiness. He's teaching us how to follow him better. And there's a lot of benefits to that. I'm just telling you. Peace, joy, and all the fruit of the Spirit, for sure. And here it is, as the writer sympathizes with us right now. Now, no chastening seems to be joyful for the present, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward, it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. I think we're being trained right now. So I want you to pay close attention to the logical consequences. Pay close attention to what's been taken away from us. Maybe we took things for granted, you know? Maybe we thought that we really didn't need God, that everything was secure and safe. Maybe we thought that the government could always take care of us. Well, we're learning a lot, aren't we? That there are just some things men cannot do for us. And even if man can do it for us, God has given them the ability to do it. So that's what we need to remember right now. All of the thanks and all of the glory needs to go to God. Certainly there are people we very much need to appreciate during this time that are sacrificing. There's no doubt about that. That's for sure. But the fact of the matter is, God intends us to learn something from this. And then when we get on the other side, it's not going to be loss. It's going to be profit. There's been a lot of people praying for revival in this country. Did you know that? We thought it might come through church services or meetings or something like that. Well, here we go again. God's ways are not our ways, and his thoughts are not our thoughts. And he's found another way to bring revival to this nation. So let this discipline, this chastening, if that's what you want to call it, bring revival to your life. I hope it brings revival to my life, that's for sure. Because I want to come out on the other side of this better than when I went in. There is a purpose to it. It's not just a random act of nature. And I thank God for that, because that would be really, really sad. Tomorrow, between 2 and 2:30, I understand that they're going to have the residents of the assisted living center outside where they can see us. If we drive by and wave at them, I think I've been told, I know I've been told that that'd be a great encouragement to them, because they're kind of lonely right now. So if you have opportunity to do that, take advantage of that. Be sure and watch the services tomorrow. I know someone posted a picture of the empty church, the inside of our church on Facebook. I'll be glad when that place is full again. And I hope we appreciate that's not a given. Our meeting together is just not a given anymore. So let's appreciate that. I thank you for all that you do. Again, if there's anything that you need, you just need to let me know. Myself, the deacons, their wives, my wife, we'll do whatever we can to take care of you. Hey, listen, if you're learning something through all of this, why don't you post it in the comment section so that others can see what God is doing in your life? And, iron sharpens iron. Maybe he wants to do that in their life too. So have a great Saturday. Kids, hopefully no school today. Parents, hopefully no school today. Y'all have a great day.